frames you have. In every frame, somebody moves a little, and they move a little, and move a little more, and a little more, and a little more. You know, so it's the same thing when you do the little flip book, you know, where you draw a picture, and then on the next page a little thing, and you flip it by, you know, that's how that works. It's incredibly painstaking, but all the detail that's in there, the lighting, the best thing about stop motion is and this is more of like a film nerd thing, but like the deep focus that you get. The fact that there's real depth of field. Now they will do that in animated movies, but it's fake. You know, you can't beat the real thing. Did anybody see Coraline? Neil Gaiman's Coraline? Yeah. That movie is so beautiful, and that's done stop motion. And the 3D version of that, because like every animated movie is coming out 3D now, but that 3D kicks the ass of every other one because there's actually 3 dimensions there. There's real depth of field. So you can't beat that. That being said, it takes a long time and can be very expensive to produce, so you know a lot of people are afraid of it. The animation studio that made that, I think was best known for doing a show in the late 90s called The PJs. Have you ever seen that? Eddie Murphy had, a stop motion animated show, and they did all the animation for that. So, anyway, and one more thing. Here's just a little trailer of something that we're starting to work on. This is another kind of cool little program. This is very short. It's called Grandpa's Robot, and this is just like a little teaser for it. But I love the look of the animation in this. And it's basically about these 2 little kids who are like 5 years old, and they go to live with their grandparents out in the country, and their grandfather, he's like an eccentric inventor dude, so he builds them a giant robot to be their playmate and their guardian. So anyway, that's just like a little teaser, but we've been doing some work on that. It's a really huge show, and it's got some really good people in it, and I love the animation style. Anyway, so there you go. So there's like a lot going on that's not in the world of anime. I wish there was more anime, because I've worked on it for years, and it's so much fun. But, you know, thankfully, Pokemon never stops. So that's good. And so anyway, do you guys have any questions for me? Does anybody got a question for me? I can answer, yeah.
Hi. I was wondering, what do you do as a director of Pokemon since the animation's already been done?
What do I do as a director of Pokemon because the animation's already been done? I'm the voice director. I work with the actors and, you know, get the best performances out of them. You know, try and obviously, you know, we need to match what's on picture. Match the lip flaps, match the, you know, the facial expressions, whatnot. But basically, I work with the actors. I direct the actors. I don't direct the animation. Someone in Japan does that, and very well, thankfully, and makes my job a lot easier. So, yeah.
I have a personal question for you.
Yes.
How does it feel to know that you purchased all of your World Series wins?
He's asking me a baseball question. That's nice to ask me. You know, you're trying to put down the Yankees. Following a year that the Red Sox did not even make the playoffs. And also a year when they're having one of their worst starts in 60 years. But listen, and the system, and you know, I don't own the Yankees. My last name is not Steinbrenner. But unfortunately, they are working legally within the system that's been set up. There's no salary cap. They're not doing anything that they're not allowed to do. I get where you're coming from, and I feel blessed that I didn't grow up in Kansas City or something, a team that will never have a chance to win because of the disparity of money. But anyway, anybody else got questions for me? Yeah?
You were talking about recording for audiobooks.
Recording for audiobooks, yes.
What do you think are some of the best places or companies that do that?
The best places and companies that produce audiobooks, there's a lot of them are right from the publishers. You know, Random House has their own studios and they do their own audiobooks. Something that is slightly, you know, anime related, the guy I was talking about, Mark Thompson. Mark does all the audiobook narration for all of the Star Wars audiobooks. Like all those, the book series of the books that take place, you know, after Return of the Jedi with Luke and Leia's kids, or Han and Leia's kids, and Luke and, what's her name, Mara Jade's kids and stuff. And they're amazing. they're a really solid place. There's a lot of other places in the city. The big, giant audiobook producer is called Audible. Audible is located in Newark, New Jersey, and they produce way more books than anybody else. They're owned by Amazon, so it's this like giant distribution network that they have. And in some ways they're like Walmart. They sort of squeezed out mom and pop, but they brought so much more to the market. Audiobooks before used to be a specialty item, but now it's like basically every book gets an audiobook. So, yeah. Anybody else have questions for me? You. Yes, 2 questions.
Well, just to clarify, you're the one who rewrites Pokemon.
No, I am not the adapter of Pokemon. I don't do the script adaptations. I work with the actors. I will make changes on the fly on occasion if there's something that's just not working, not fitting, but I am not the script adapter of Pokemon.
And second question, you were Hitmonlee, right?
I was Hitmonlee, yes.
You got like a karate chop thing and do the voice of Hitmonlee real quick?
Okay. I'm trying to remember. Okay. I think it's like Hitmonlee! Something like that. So, yeah. Anybody else got a question? Nobody? No one wants to know what's going on? Yeah, right there.
Do you know anyone named Brett Barry?
Anyone named who?
Brett Barry.
Brent Barry?
Brett Barry?
Brett Barry? No, I don't know.
He's actually really big in the audiobook industry. He was actually my teacher.
Oh, yeah? Okay. So it's an audiobook person he's talking about. I don't know that guy. Sorry. Anybody else? Any questions for me? Want to know about what I do? What's going on? Yeah?
I was just wondering, you talk a lot about audiobooks. What about, audio dramas? Like, in Japan, I know that drama CDs are very big, where they just do the drama.
Asking about audio dramas as opposed to audiobooks. There are certain audiobooks that are done with full casts, which come across a little more like that, but audio dramas, there's a lot of like radio theater kind of stuff around, and generally it doesn't pay or it barely pays anything, in which case I enjoy that kind of performance. I like live readings and stuff like that, but I'm busy and I need money because he eats a lot. So, so there is some of that stuff going on. There's a lot of, like, every major city, I'm sure in Boston they have like some sort of radio theater society, and it's all like these middle-aged radio nerds who like to go in there and put the shoes on their hands and, hello, I'm here at the door. And sometimes it's very old-style stagey, but sometimes, it's more creative. I was asked recently to be in a production of something which unfortunately I was too busy and I couldn't do it. And it was like a paying gig, and Neil Gaiman, who I mentioned before, was actually supposed to be one of the readers in it. So I started kicking myself for not being able to do it, but anyway. So yeah, audio drama, you will find it, but it's more of, I don't know, it's not as much of a business. I mean, just being totally blunt, it just doesn't pay a whole lot, So, anyway. Somebody else, yeah. What was my favorite show I did voice acting for? Alright. I really liked being Storm Shadow in G.I. Joe because, and again, I'm not saying it was the greatest show, but I had a Storm Shadow figure when I was a kid, and I watched that show on TV when I was a kid, so being able to, and he's the coolest guy in the show, so being able to play a character that I played with as a child, played with the toys and stuff, that was a lot of fun for me. I mean, the best show that I ever worked on, and this wasn't as an actor, but the best shows that I ever worked on at all, I feel like are the show called Now and Then, Here and There. Everybody seen that? Woo! Yeah. Now and Then, Here and There is emotionally just gut-wrenching, but it's so good. I believe that it was not ADV, but who are they now? Sentai Section 23, those guys. I think they picked up the license after CPM went under, so you can still get it. It's so good. And the other best show I ever worked on was a show called The Ping Pong Club. Anybody ever seen that? The Ping Pong Club is bathroom humor for junior high kids, and it's so well done. It's so funny. It's very dirty, but it's really, really, really funny. The animation style is so strange, it's a little evocative of like Beavis and Butthead, if you remember what that is. You know, and I know it's that to me, that seems like it was sort of recent, but apparently, you know, I mean, that was like in the 90s, I don't know, yeah. They're bringing it back, apparently. Anyway, so those two shows that I worked on, I could not recommend more. They're great. Any questions from somebody else? Yeah, back there. No, not in here. Come see me tomorrow night. Anybody else got a question for me? Yeah.
You still do Turkish shows?
Do I still do Turkish shows? You clearly have come to hear me talk before. A gig that I did for a while and occasionally still do. You want to talk about this? No? Okay. Yes, you do. So I worked, there's this company in New Jersey, and they're like a broadcasting network, and they're Turkish. So they're working on a lot of original programming, and their big thing is interfaith dialogue. You know, they're Muslim guys. They want to show the rest of the world that not all Muslim people are psychos, because they're not. And so they have a lot of, you know, whatever, just trying to like positive family programming, but they also do a lot of soap opera kind of stuff, and they have like gritty cop shows and things like that. So they're producing all this stuff in English. So I had been working for them, producing these things in English. So if you go online and look it up, the company is called Ebru, E-B-R-U, and I believe it's ebru.tv. You can see these things, these shows streaming, and it'll be hilarious because you'll see the lead characters are like Dan Green, who's Yu-Gi-Oh, and Sean Schemmel asks Sean about the Turkish stuff at his panel, and me, and Mike Pollock, who's Dr. Eggman. And the one thing that's interesting though is when you work on live action programming, when you dub live action, I play kids on some of these cartoons, you know, and I can, you know, do this high voice, and I'm a kid, or whatever, you know. But like that voice coming out of this body would just be so wrong. So when you have actual children in the thing and actual elderly people, you know, you have to cast actual elderly people and actual children. And my son Henry is now playing the lead in one of these Turkish shows, right? How do you like working on it?
It's fun.
Great. All right. What's it like? I mean, you know, what do? You get in the booth?
And
What's your character's name?
Alperin.
Alperin is his character's name. What does he sound like?
I don't know.
He sounds like you. So, like, that's the thing. So, I work with the Turkish people a little bit still. He works with them all the time, and my wife actually does a lot of script adaptations for them. I got to tell you, the weirdest gig I've ever had, but it's been 5.5 years, and we still work with them, and I can't believe it's gone on. So, you know, ebru.tv, check it out. And like as I was saying, I work with children, and one of the things that came up once was I'm working with this girl who's about 10 or 11 years old, and she has there's this abusive father character yelling at her, and he's like, yelling at her, and she just suddenly stops, and she's like, is that Dr. Eggman? I'm like, yes it is. She's like, okay, and then he just kind of keeps going. But yeah, because Mike Pollock played, you know, the bad guy in Sonic, and he's basically just screaming at her in his Eggman voice. So yeah, Turkish stuff is still going on. Ebru.tv, check it out. Anybody else? Any more questions for me? Yes. Do I voice act in other languages besides English? No, I only am qualified to speak English. I'm not qualified to speak any other languages. I have worked on projects that get dubbed into other languages before, and then there'll be someone working with me who's fluent in that language. But no, I'm, you know, just, what is it, Eddie Izzard used to say in his whole thing, you know, I'm an American, 2 languages in one head? No, forget it. And that's how I feel. You know, European people grow up knowing multiple languages. I got English. A little Spanish, a little French, but not enough to pull that off. So, anybody else questions for me? Yeah. How did I get into this? Is it what I wanted to do when I grew up, when I was a kid? No, it wasn't. Not that I was like You know, God damn it, I'm never going to be a voice actor. I never thought of it. And you will find that almost every guest at this convention or any convention will say the same thing. You